In front of my eyes, a beautiful silver-colored young shad is placed. The young shad is what you call a gizzard shad when it's a juvenile. Gizzard shad is the most challenging ingredient for the store. Many sushi critics said that its taste varies depending on the sushi chef's skills. I bite into the young shad sushi in one go. The flesh and skin are soft and delicate, melting away in my mouth. The exquisite balance of vinegar hits my mouth, condensed with the umami flavor of the gizzard shad, making me let out an involuntary moan. Mike's sushi is always the best. I revel in the sushi made by Mike, and he is the chef of this sushi bar and my childhood friend.
Of course, my sushi is the best in the world.
Mike, who personally delivered the young shad, replied with a proud expression. I visit here about once every 2 months. This sushi bar might be the only time of relaxation in my busy and stressful days. I usually don't eat alone, but I always make an exception when visiting Mike's sushi bar. Not just to enjoy the sushi, but also to cherish the moments with my childhood friend. When I talk to Mike, I can be myself without any pretense. He's irreplaceable to me, a true confidant. Suddenly, the sliding door opens with force. At the same time, so this is the place that serves fancy Japanese-style sushi. A loud voice resonated inside the shop. I inadvertently looked towards the entrance from the private room where I sat. There stood a young man in his mid-20s. The young man is standing and wearing a coal black colored suit and a fedora hat that explicitly signifies his affiliation with Mafia, complemented by coal black colored leather shoes. 2 minions stood behind him.
Chef, serve some good sushi.
The man plops down at the counter seat. The other 2 followed suit.
How can I help for you?
Mike greeted them, swiftly returning to the back of the counter. Watching Mike's back, I felt a pang of unease.
Hey guys, eat sushi whatever you like.
The presumed leader told his minions arrogantly. Without hesitation, they ordered fatty tuna, salmon roe, sea urchin, and the likes.
Well, this fancy sushi place sure lives up to its reputation, boss.
This is my first time having great and fancy sushi.
The minions exclaimed with delight, and it's making me smile. It seems my worries were for naught. When people taste Mike's sushi, people can't help but feel joy. Being joyful about the tasty sushi affects no matter who they are. I relaxed and reached out for another sushi. When I was getting full, Mike's wife, now named Susan, came to me.
Here is the last bowl for you.
Fish soup was gently placed in front of me. I always finish my meal with fish soup. Some might think that this soup is made from fish scraps that aren't good enough for sushi, like heads, bones, and innards. But the soup that Mike makes is rich with fish broth, flavored with a deep miso and stock, and includes fatty salmon and veggies. There are regulars who come just for the soup rather than the sushi. It's that delicious. Mike serves this as a complimentary dish at the end of the meal. Thanks as always, Susan. Hearing my words, Susan smiles warmly.
It's okay. He looks forward to seeing you, Bob.
Just then, a loud voice echoed from the counter.
I ain't paying for this RIP off sushi bar.
Peeking out from my private booth, I saw a man from earlier standing up and confronting Mike.
We don't overcharge. We set our prices based on the ingredients costs.
Even though Mike was explaining, the man wasn't about to be easily convinced.
You can't be charging this much for what I ate.
Yeah, are you kidding us?
Following their boss's lead, his buddies also stood up, trying to intimidate.
We heard this place doesn't affiliate with any groups and isn't paying any protection money. You must consider this meal on the house as your first protection payment. You should be thankful we're letting you stay in business.
It seemed they never intended to pay for their sushi in the first place. The other customers watched their confrontation with fear, trying not to draw attention. Susan, standing next to me, also looked worriedly at Mike. I slowly stood up, put on my shoes, and approached the counter. "Excuse me." When I spoke, the man turned to me with a glare.
What are you?
In response to his emotional remarks, I replied calmly, "I've been a regular here for a long time. The prices at this sushi bar are fair. It's definitely not a rip-off." One of the minions stepped up, trying to intimidate me.
We're from the Bronx gang. Did you know that?
Better get out of here before you regret it, old man.
The boss grinned as he saw his minions threatening me.
Are there any problems? If so, I'm gonna call our boss, her.
What he said sucked the oxygen out of the room. Mike burst into laughter. The boss and his minions stared in disbelief at Mike.
What's so funny?
Why are you laughing?
Perhaps they thought he'd lost his mind. But the truth was different.
Your boss is dining here. Did you know?
What?
At Mike's words, the man looked around the sushi bar in confusion. When he didn't find his boss he was looking for, he approached Mike with a raised voice.
Where is he?
Mike's gaze shifted from him to me.
This gentleman here is Mr. Bob Smith, the head of the Smith family, which oversees the Bronx gang. Don't you recognize him?
Formally introduced, I took off my hat. The leader of the Bronx Mafia, Tony, is a junior member of our group. Haven't you heard? The faces of the three men turned pale. Even if they didn't recognize my face, they seemed to have heard my name. The suit I wore was well-tailored but plain, and with my calm demeanor, they never dreamt I was the head of a mafia. They didn't know there were such troublemakers in the Bronx gang. I really need to give Tony a good talking to. The moment my previously calm face turned sharp, they trembled in fear.
Oh ho ho, we're so sorry.
We had no idea you were the head of the Smith family. We deeply apologize.
I interrupted their apologetic words and pointed towards Mike. And this here is my dear childhood friend and best buddy, Chef. If you mess with this place, you better believe you'll regret it. Immediately, the three shouted in unison, "Yes, sir." Mike teased me.
So, Bob, you're now guarding my bar. Are you going to start charging me protection money?
You're an idiot. There's no way I'm taking money from you. In our family, we've been in the mob business since my grandfather's time. There were tattooed men and some Scarface lurking around the house. However, we never caused trouble in our neighborhood. It would be problematic if we got driven out. We always greet properly, never park on the street, and even separate our trash properly. But a mafia is still a mafia. Unaccepted by society and pushed to the edges. I learned that at a young age. While no one openly bullied me, but my classmates always looked away, avoided me, and tried not to associate with me. I was always alone. Being the son of a mafia boss, it's only natural. I eventually started thinking that way. But Mike approached me.
Hey, you alone? Do you want to hang out with me?
I thought he'd soon be pulled away by his parents telling him, "Don't play with a mafia's child." But Mike had no parents. He attended school from an orphanage. Wearing ragged clothes and a worn-out backpack, Mike was also avoided by classmates for different reasons. From that day on, we were inseparable. Kids from the same orphanage told him it's best not to hang out with me, but Mike didn't care. After high school, Mike trained in a sushi restaurant while I went to college. Our paths diverged, but we never lost touch. However, everything changed with my father's death. The issue of who would take over the mafia rose. I didn't want to be a mafia. I was done with being looked down upon by society. With that in mind, I went to a top university to study business, planning to start my own company. I intended to disband the mafia or hand the leadership over to the vice leader when my father passed away. But then, "Young master, please, take over our mafia, I beg you." The vice leader knelt before me, pleading. Our mafia was split between those loyal to the vice leader and his assistant. If the vice leader took over, the mafia would fracture. If I took over, everyone would fall in line. Both the vice leader and his assistant, who took care of me like family since childhood, did not want any disputes. After much thought, I decided to become the boss to maintain the Mafia's peace. Mike, you're an ordinary person, so from now on, we can't meet. With a firm resolve, I told Mike, and he looked deeply into my eyes.
If I cared about ordinary and Mafia labels, we wouldn't be friends in the first place. It's too late now.
Even though I was conflicted, Mike handed me an envelope.
You better come. I need you to give a speech.
Inside the envelope was a wedding invitation. The writing was blurred and illegible with tears. Sure, I'll definitely go. That day, I vowed to cherish my friendship with Mike no matter what. Can you show me that for a second? I took the bill from one of Minions. What they were complaining about was the price of the young shad I had ordered. Its peak season is from June to August, but it's really only available in the market for about 3 weeks. Because it's rare, it fetches a high price. Even so, they would have complained even if we hadn't ordered that fish, I'm certain of it. They were trying to nitpick, hoping to get it for free and then, probably planning to extort money next time, calling it protection money. You know, I really hate this kind of violence. When I took over as the boss, I set 3 conditions. No violence. Resolve issues through discussion. No scams or extortions. No dealings with drugs or firearms.
What? Then how are we supposed to pay our dues?
One of the members exclaimed in distress. I don't want to rebel against society or cause any trouble. I just want to provide a place for those who have nowhere to go and protect them like family. Some might laugh and say that's a pipe dream, especially coming from a mafia. I aimed for our group's survival without resorting to violence or crime. That meant building legitimate businesses. My father ran several businesses in the past, and they strictly avoided any form of violence. Using my father's inheritance, I established new businesses and expanded them. To outsiders, they looked like any other businesses. But my members and their families worked there. And just because of that, many see it as a risky business tied to the mafia. Contracts get canceled, and many refuse to work with us. Why don't you disband the group and work like regular folks? Some might say that. But there's no support system in place for former mafia. Even after 5 or 10 years, they can't buy a car or a house, not even a cell phone. The scarred face can make finding work or a decent job impossible. It's easy to say they got what they deserved. But then, what is rehabilitation? How can those who want to reform live in a society that won't accept them? That's why I continue in the mafia business, to provide a place for those who have nowhere to go. The guys who came today, they're in the same boat. Well then, I think it's time to pay a visit to Tony after a long time. With the 3 pale and trembling guys in tow, I cheerfully left the bar.
Oh, come back to eat sometime.
We'll be waiting you.
Mike and Susan waved to me. If I had not met Mike, I might have become an uncontrollable mafia steeped deep in crime. I was once again reminded of how important this friendship is to me.